All right.
Right.
Hi, Kennedy. Thanks so much for joining me here today on Vonvo.com to discuss clean water projects in Africa and what Just Save One is doing. I wanted to definitely conduct today's Vonvo to learn about the exciting things that you guys have going on at your organization, figure out how people can help, what can be done to provide more clean water throughout the world, and just get a better overall sense of what the exact problem is that people around the globe are experiencing, and how truly impactful this this issue is, and how your organization is helping to make it a lesser known issue around the globe. So, would you mind maybe just starting off giving the people who watch this video an introduction about yourself and about what Just Save One is?
Yeah. Yeah, my name is Kennedy. I'm Kennedy Agoy. I'm the CEO and founder of Just Save One. We founded it in 2011, and our goal is to alleviate the water problems that face underprivileged communities, not just globally, but also locally, in developing and also developed nations. So we help different communities by alleviating their water problems within their own communities.
Very cool. And so the organization's based out of where exactly? And do you have a global presence? I mean, you were telling me earlier about people that you have in other portions of the world that are helping you. So can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So even the Just Save One's headquarters is in New York City, New York State. I can say, and we have projects that take place in different countries right now. The one project that we've been working on for a long time is the one in Kenya, but also we're trying to start different chapters in Kenya. We have different chapters in different schools and states in New York State, and also we have been working with different organizations in Haiti and other countries to be able to bring a different type of a force to the issues that we try to solve, and we go above and beyond our mission by helping other organizations also realize their potential and also work with them in order to solve the issues that plague so many communities. So we have chapters for Just Save One at Cornell University, Rockland Community College. We had one in Nyack College, and now we have a chapter that will start functioning with its own office in Kenya by January 15th that will focus on local problems, while Just Save One Incorporated focuses on trying to bring all these other different dynamic communities and organizations together.
Cool. So talk to me a little bit about how crucial of a problem this is in Kenya. That's where you've been putting a lot of your emphasis. Can you talk to me a bit about maybe that country specifically, and then maybe the entire continent of Africa as a whole, and how big of an issue this is as a whole, or versus just one country?
So the thing that makes Just Save One unique is because we even though the problem is prevalent in so many underprivileged communities and developing countries, what is resonating with different communities is people personalizing the problem, regardless of the huge numbers, like 1 billion people not having access to clean drinking water. But when you think about it, it's each individual facing different issues in all different parts of the world. So we Just Say One does not necessarily try to highlight that big number as opposed to focusing on one individual and giving them the ability to reach the fullest potential. And being that I was once amongst that statistic, it is just easier for me to be able to relate to the problem even more. And we understand there's a lot of people suffering due to this issue, not only in Kenya, but also in the continent of Africa, but also even here in New York State. We have people who still go through the same things, but when we personalize it, we eliminate all the numbers and we bring it direct. We make more impact when people know that we care about individuals as opposed to the bigger problem.
Right. So, what are some of the approaches that are used at Just Save One for your different projects to
Okay.
alleviate the issues of having clean water, and maybe what gets done, let's say in Africa versus like New York? What are kind of like the different approaches? How do those drastically different countries kind of affect how you try and alleviate the problem in each place?
So, for instance, in Kenya, the community that we went to work with, we initially thought that we would build a well, but once we spoke to the principal and the people who were directly involved in the project, they told us that the well wouldn't be beneficial to the community because it would not be sustained, and additionally, they have tried a well before. So we looked at different areas we could help them, and we realized that this community receives more rain seasons than other communities. So when we have more rain seasons, the best thing you can do is have water tanks to trap that rainwater. And one water tank would last a whole 2-3 months, and you have students going to the school and not having to worry about drinking water. But we didn't do something that was like, we cannot say it's innovative, but it was an approach that worked for that particular community. Coming to New York now, we realized that it might not necessarily be water, but we know that there's problems, and what Just One is trying to do is go into different communities and help them with what they need. For instance, our project for this month until December 22nd is helping the homeless be warm for the winter session, winter period. So we're trying to collect clothes and shoes, and that problem tackles what New York needs, this community needs. And even though it's not water or anything else, but this is what the community needs. And to your question, what Just Say One does that's different is we focus on what the community needs, and we don't bring our own ideas if they don't like it, but we bring what they already need and just give it out to the public, and people help us a lot. And yeah, we continue working with different communities and partnerships too that help a lot.
Cool. Are there any specific partnerships that have worked out, more favorably than others, and like that have been really impactful towards contributing to the cause?
Yes. So even, but the one organization that has really helped us a lot, not in terms of helping showcase what we do, is Clinton World Initiative University, which was founded by former President Clinton in 2007 to bring the youth to be able to tackle these problems that we face in our social areas, or even the social status, or all the other problems that people face that we can really solve. And the one thing that they give us credit for was the way we approach the problems, and that has really elevated us to different communities. And they look at us like we're not coming there to try and bring a different dynamic to the table, but we're trying to work with the communities to be able to work with them to solve a particular issue. The other organization is One Young World. One Young World has been supportive of Just Say One ever since they heard about Just Say One, and the support they give us is not necessarily funding or any other thing, but they give us that inspiration to keep on doing what we do, and they appreciate what we do, and they highlight what we do at times. A Global Peace Foundation also has been supportive of Just Say One, and international youth leaders have been supportive. And the one organization that we've done projects with is Pals Cornell, and that has been really instrumental to our organization.
Very good.
Because they helped us have people on the ground to help us with the project, and they continuously help us try to build a community around our projects, and that gives us more manpower, and we use less resources because of that.
Cool. Okay, so the next thing I was going to ask you, Kennedy, is so why has the issue of clean water around the world um, becomes such a paramount issue. Like you feel like you kind of hear about it more often as like a real crucial problem. Um, so, can you kind of just give us? Is it a problem that there's just not enough water around the world to, provide to people? Is it a problem of like the ocean water not being suitable for people to drink after it's like after the salt from the salt water is taken out of it? Is it just what's kind of the overall core root of the problem here?
The core of the problem is poverty. Like, if you look at the communities struggling with water problems, are communities that really either suffer in immense poverty, and it just allows them not to have the resources to either have innovation or research, or even just to be able to access the water that they already have, and also cleaning the water that they have in their communities. But the root cause for the whole problem is poverty, and that's like something that, if addressed in different communities, and it has been tried and tested, if addressed in different communities, poverty helps them figure out ways to support their own communities. And when I used to go to school back in Kenya, I used to get my teachers used to say that water is life, and if you can't access clean drinking water, it's like your life is cut short before you even get an opportunity to do anything else. So that is the problem that I feel like once addressed, then we can be in a better position to help not just one or two or three people, but we have an ability to impact a person's life, to be able to impact another person's life. And bring it back to myself, I think I was sick most of the time because of waterborne diseases. But at the same time, I realized that I have an opportunity to do something to my own community and other communities. So I know if somebody else in my community is given the same opportunity, I'm pretty sure they can still find a different way to help the community, and that's the greatest thing about the whole issue.
So you're actually from Kenya originally.
Yes, I was born and raised in Kenya. I just came to the United States 7 years ago.
So can you talk a little bit more about that? I mean, because clearly that is a sticking point to you where that was something that you experienced firsthand. Can you talk about that firsthand experience? What do people literally go through each and every day in Kenya that people around the world probably don't even realize? I mean, can you talk about that, please?
Yes, it's actually the reason why I called the organization, that we call the organization Just Save One, is because of that. When I cannot hide it, but I was sick most of the time with typhoid, my amoebic dysentery, and malaria, and all these things that sent me constantly back to the hospital. And when I was in the hospital ward, you could see that the pain that you go through, you're there by yourself, and nobody else is there. So when I remember when my friend called Eric Plasti used to try and feed me because I couldn't feed myself because I was so sick to feed myself. So this makes it more passionate for me because I understand that regardless of how many people we might impact with our projects, that one person really needs our help, and that's how I put myself in that person's shoes. And that's why Just Save One is really something that allows me to look back in what I went through, look back at what I went through, and just try and appreciate how far not only myself, but also the people that I know that were really instrumental in trying to help me go through those different phases. And at the same time, the problem also, let me just bring it back to Kenya, is it's not just a problem of water, but also you have 42 tribes and so many different communities and different climatic conditions, different geographic locations are dictated by different weather, different foods, different water systems, different resources. So when you go from one area to another, you might get sick by just going to that community and not having that access to the same water that you're used to. So that I used to live in the city, and when I went back to the rural areas, I couldn't even spend a month without getting sick. And it's not that it's not where I belong, but it's just the conditions there were so different from what I'm used to. So the people in the city used to get access to water that is treated, first of all, and also just access to water. But you also used to find people in the city who used to fight to get water. You see women with gallons and gallons of water carrying around every single place. It's in the city, but this still goes on. So for me personally, I think the reason why I personalized Just Save One is to be able to show people that that one person that really goes through all these problems really is the focal point of my appreciation for everything that I do, and that's how we bring it on.
And so there, I mean, that's an amazing story to hear. And I assume that there's thousands and maybe millions of kids that have to face this each and every day and have
Yes.
been facing it for years upon years, decades. But there are solutions, right? I mean, there are definitely solutions. So can we talk? Can we go back to what then? Knowing that that's the pain that these people are suffering, can we go into what those solutions are? What exactly is needed from people? Because you mentioned like poverty and clean water kind of now actually having a bit of a connection to one another. If you could solve one, then you could probably solve the other. So can we talk about solutions, please?
Yeah, that's actually a very an interesting point. When I talk about being able to alleviate poverty, I know sometimes people say you have to educate people first or do all these things that you have to, and I don't disagree with anyone's point. But the only thing that I ask myself constantly is, you have 400 million children facing these issues, and they're children. And then you have 443 million days of school that are missed by children because they cannot go to school, either because they're sick or there's something else going on that is caused directly by waterborne diseases. So in order for you to solve the education aspect of it, you have to solve first the health side of it. And the health side of it comes from water. So what does Just Save One do? One, we work with the communities to provide them with the solution that they can help themselves to bring the water issue. They can come up with their own solutions. They can they tell Just Save One, this is what we need and this is what we think we need right now, and that's how we solve it. So once we provide them with that water tank or a well, but we're not going to impose how we help them with the water problem. But our main focus is water, and we can provide people with tanks. We're waiting for people to come with innovations that we can actually adapt or use in the near future. But at this point, since Just Save One is a small organization, we try to just do things that we can do to help different communities. And the other thing that we do that is different, that is a part of the solution, is working with established organizations that have been working in these communities. So that if we provide water and that organization provides shoes or food or other techniques that the community uses, now you have so many organizations trying to help the community in a wholesome way, as opposed to providing them with water and then asking them to do the rest themselves. So I think that's also the solution that we've come up with, is to identify who can work with us to help a community in a wholesome way, as opposed to just going and showing our face and helping them with one thing and then leaving. And also, I also say this a lot of times, providing them with the water is not the only solution too. Like, that could be a part of the solution, and that's why I think it's crucial if many organizations come together and work together for a common good. And that's why I think it's a good thing that we can get all ideas from all sorts of people and just come up with a wholesome solution.
Right. Yeah. So it seems that there's a bunch of interconnecting issues, and you bring up like collaboration, perhaps with other organizations. I mean, like, there are probably a bunch of different, like one organization that comes to mind is like you hear of like Charity Water and, organizations like that. And I'm just wondering like what type of collaboration could potentially take place where it's like maybe is there a, would there be a benefit of individual organizations not kind of trying to solve like individual regional issues and as opposed to trying to come up with a wholesome solution? Do you think that there would be a benefit to that as opposed to how these problems get solved today?
Yes, so organizations, you bring up a good point. An organization like Charity Water has so many like celebrities and endorsements, and they just sell so many products that go back to help the community. Um, but for Just Save One, if I was to create a product right now and sell it and tell them you have to buy this product for us to help you, then I don't think we would have the same impact in the community the way people appreciate how we approach things.
Right.
If I have something on the market and the people are really telling me this, and a lot of people have been really pushing me to do something different in terms of selling a product or just promoting something. But for me, I think of those communities as my own community. Right. I know they don't either have money or they don't have access to all these things. So if I am selling something to help them, then it's really taking out the personal aspect of it, which could be different based on different charities. And I think the collaboration now comes when an organization like Charity Water can work with Just Save One in the community that Just Save One is working in. And we can either say, how can we work together to help each other? And it doesn't necessarily mean provide funding or provide all these things. It might only mean, can you help us either get the manpower to this location or just expose us even more or just talk to us about how we're doing things and just tell us how you've done things for the longest run. And we are not shy of collaborating established organizations. And even our latest project right now, we're working with Nyack Homeless Project, which has been there for 15 years. So we're not just going into communities and trying to help them because we can, but we're trying to work with what they believe in. They see Charity Water or Nyack Homeless Project as organizations that they trust. And because Just Save One is not trusted yet by many people, not that we're not trusted, it's just that there's that relationship that has to be built.
Right, you're growing.
Yeah, so if we can access that network through them, then that's fine. So I think there's an opportunity for different organizations to just look at the good side of collaborating and also appreciate what the other organizations do. And I think that's a great thing. And collaboration would lead us to a better and more efficient result. And that's what we try to do at most times.
Yeah, totally. I think that you make a good point where maybe if you get some validation from some some other well-known organization to allow you to get allow you to further your cause. That's a good point. So why don't then you mentioned some other countries like Haiti where you've also done some helping out, and then in Africa. I mean, are there other portions of the globe that people don't even realize this issue of clean water is taking place? And can you kind of talk maybe about why this sort of issue goes unnoticed, like within the mainstream media? It's not something that you hear about each day. So do you think that that's one of the reasons why this problem continues to exacerbate itself and not ever get completed, ever get fixed?
That's actually a very good question. I can give you examples. First of all, in Haiti, while people thought that so many nonprofits were really helping people in Haiti set up everything that they have when the earthquake did not hit, once the earthquake hit, you saw that there was so many things that were lacking to just help the community immediately. After that, you saw the cholera outbreak, and you just wondered how they are they going to tackle all these issues with this type of catastrophes that happen in the community. Now we have a country like Egypt where there was like kind of a political, the elections that take place, the fight, and the ousting of presidents. When those communities go through all those things, the people who suffer the most are the children and the women. And these communities, if you go back to these communities, you find that the water systems that they had have been broken down. They have a non-functional government, or they have non-functional public sectors that can help these people who are very vulnerable to the community. So, for instance, in Haiti, we are going to work with the organizations that are already there, and we can work with them on projects. And also, the one thing that I wanted to say is some organizations installed wells in Haiti, but these wells are not functioning because the communities were really not taught how to use the wells, or they don't even know their wells existed because they're built in deserts or bushes. So if you look at that aspect of it, is what is a good way to approach the whole social entrepreneurship or social enterprise is by working with the communities to solve these problems. And we're working with established organizations, not only established organizations, but we're also exposing people first to whatever we're trying to do. If it's providing them with water packets or providing them with anything that they need, but we ensure that they understand what we're giving them, how they can use it, and where they can use it, and where they can get it after. Once they are empowered to do everything themselves, then we can let it go. But I believe that there's a lot to learn, and there's a lot of exposure when there's no news. There's not a lot of exposure when there's no news.
Right.
And that's the one big mistake. Statistics, this is what I say all the time, and I think people really, sometimes I get criticized for this, but statistics will always be there. We will always have numbers and numbers and numbers of people struggling. But when you talk about numbers constantly, and we already know the numbers exist, then why don't we go back and solve these issues and not wait until something big happens for people to revisit these issues? So I think that we already know the statistics, we already know the numbers. Work with the community, help the community know what you're doing, and work with them to sustain it, and then now move on to the next steps. And I think it's if there is no news, there is no problem. That's how people look at it. Right. If there is no news, there's no problem, and that's one mistake that we all do.
Right. So the last question I would ask you, Nat, you addressed kind of the mainstream media and the no news, no problem issue. I mean, how do you think that a platform like Vonvo with our can help in raising awareness around these types of core issues and actually bringing to the forefront? What's your thoughts on how this type of tool can help organizations, as you know, such as your own and others, in advancing their causes and raising more awareness around what you guys are doing, and very soon, hopefully, raising some money as well?
That's actually a good question, and I think Vonvo is one of those organizations that can help expose up-and-coming nonprofits, or also social entrepreneurship, or just organizations that really don't get to the mainstream media, or just organizations that really need a stepping stone for the projects that they undertake. And this is a platform also for, let's say, the youth, the millennials, that they can utilize to show people that they're not just waiting for people to find solutions for the problem, but they're also being a part of the solution. And that is going to be the key for the next 15 years, where we have to bring everyone on the table, and we have to come with the 21st century solutions, but at the same time, we have to focus on what is right and what is needed for different communities. And I think this is a platform that will allow people to see different organizations in a whole new level, and giving us the platform is something that we are humbled by, and we think that this is a great thing that can enable us reach a different audience. Like, we know who we are always used to talking to, but now this can enable us to reach a different platform, and that's something that we really appreciate.
Cool. All right, very good. So Kennedy, why don't we leave it there, because we have plenty more that we want to talk about in the future.
Yes.
And that your organization will hopefully be interested in doing, via themselves. So we can leave it there, and we'll touch base soon. And thank you so much for starting to share your story, and hopefully continuing to, as well as the Just Save One story.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You got it. No problem.
All right.
Have a great day.